Greetings everyone, welcome to my Sonic Universe 93 review. Before we get to this issue, we have some unfinished business from the last issue. Thanks to a number of commenters, I've learned that Mr. Bristles is a Yeti crab and Dive is a lemming. Not that one. Thank you. As for Deena, obviously she's some sort of amalgam of her parents, but it looks like she takes more from her mother's side. People have pointed out another thing about Deena, but I'll save that for later. For now, we'll move on from last issue's material to recapping the last issue. The Chaotix and Razor manage to join the pirate crew to avoid trouble. Poor Echo is tossed in the brig. As they mingle with the crew, they learn Princess Deena is translating charts for some treasure, and she doesn't want to leave. She gets free travel after all. Our detectives need to come up with some plan to get her, and them, out of this situation. Once again, our story picks up with Vector narrating in romanticized noir vision. Back in reality, that plan he's working on, still in progress. The ship comes across some rough seabed and Vector enters the bridge. He learns a bit about the ship's functions while Shellbreaker and Deena plot another approach to the island. He also eyeballs a key in the ignition. Meanwhile in the kitchen, Charmy, Blade, and Opal argue about the breakfast flavor of the day. Honey nut, apple cinnamon, and maple sugar respectively. And really, refusing honey nut from a bee? How unthinkable! The three leave Dive so they can vote on a flavor, but Opal immediately returns to force her flavor on him. She also forces him to hurry up because it's her turn to tend to the prisoner today. Charmy overhears all of this. On deck, Espio and Vector are formulating their plan when Charmy shows up to inform the two about Opal's visitation to Echo. It'll happen after breakfast and Espio can sneak in after Opal leaves. A fake sneeze from Razor lets the trio know Blade's nearby. She questions what the three are talking about. Vector tries and fails to explain that they're telling jokes. The bee does not help the situation. This, of course, makes Blade suspicious. Deena arrives to break the tension by mentioning Espio's involvement in the tournament, specifically his embarrassing loss to Bean. Good times! This gets Blade off everyone's back. What also helps is getting upset at losing her breakfast choice. Boy, it's a good thing Deena showed up when she did, huh? During breakfast, Shellbreaker gives a rousing speech involving dark times, bright spots, and getting that big treasure thanks to the sea charts. Vector even points this out. Razor, though, knows something else about Shellbreaker that has him concerned. In the brig, Opal gives Echo breakfast before leaving. Espio then appears. Echo really lets him have it over betraying her and such. Espio explains it was a trick. They would have all wound up in the brig if they didn't pretend to join the pirates. Espio goes on to explain the plan so far, that they'll make their move on the island. Before continuing, Espio arranges things for Echo's escape. Later on the island, Vector acts paranoid so he can get some more intel on Shellbreaker's ship. Bottom line, they, as in the Chaotix, need his key in order to take the ship. As they head into the jungle, Razor asks about the charts. All of them led the crew to old ruins, but Blade doesn't care about that. She only cares about what kind of profit she'll get out of it. You know, Razor does have a point about all these charts and ruins, my dear. What it comes down to is, Blade finds treasure hunting boring. She would rather steal from people and have some conflict and so on and so forth. Her take what she wants and bully people attitude comes from the fact that the world treated her and Razor unfairly. Razor no longer sees it like that. Before things heat up, Mr. Bristles takes Blade aside. Razor was hoping things would be different. I'll talk more about it later. Shellbreaker comes across some ancient pictographs and wants Deena to translate it. She deciphers enough of the writing to find out it's a warning. The thing they're going towards is not treasure, but a weapon of untold destructive power. Which pleases Shellbreaker. Jeez, what's with pirate captains and powerful weapons anyway? Well, in Shellbreaker's case, the weapon could allow him to take on the Eggman Empire, not to mention plundering nations like the Acorn Kingdom and Meropis. Yeah, Deena's not happy with the idea of pirates attacking her home. Shellbreaker doesn't care. He wants that weapon. Back at the beach, Dive is guarding the boat, and once again, he's expressing how much he loves the sea in his, own way, I guess. Well, dude, I hope you still love the sea after this purple thing rises from it. The pirates reach the door to the weapon. Despite Deena's warnings, Shellbreaker orders her to open it, which she does thanks to Mystic Melody. Remember, she did have priestess training, and there was a shrine next to the door. And this is where the issue ends. I'm not joking, the last panel is the group reacting to what's behind that door. Like the previous issues, this one has little action, but things are starting to come together plot-wise. First, the Chaotix have a plan, of a sort. We don't know much about it except that it'll take place on the island. It also involves freeing Echo, leaving trail markers, and stealing the ship. Perhaps it's a case of unspoken plan guarantee, or it could backfire. We'll see. The charts ultimately brought the pirates not to treasure, but to the site of a dangerous weapon. One that requires sealing and warning markers to keep people away. So what is it? An eldritch abomination a la Chaos? Powerful gems like the Chaos Emeralds? The Ark of the Covenant? Speaking of the markings, upon closer examination of this one indicates this whole thing is related to the troll civilization mentioned in previous issues. They were once very powerful, and their leftovers have been found after the civilization's collapse. This could be one of them. A weapon, or something so dangerous that the trolls can't control. But Shellbreaker wants it. Let's talk a bit about the characters. Except for the Chaotix. They're awesome. Well, 2/3 of them are awesome. Shellbreaker is ambitious. The kind that doesn't care who gets hurt in the process as long as he gets what he wants. Another possible reason why Razor had a falling out with his shipmates. Losing most of the other pirates to Abyss when she joined Eggman seems to only fuel his madness. Mr. Bristles. He appears to be the only kind and reasonable one of the crew, with the way he keeps the shark siblings from attacking one another. Blade, as I mentioned earlier, believes the world hates them, so we'll fight back and take what we want. A clear example of a bully. In my opinion, Razor wanted to rejoin his crew. Remember, some people at Meropis treat him badly because of his pirate past. But seeing how the situation between the pirates hasn't changed, or have possibly gotten worse, he'll be more receptive to the Chaotix plan. Opal, from what little we see of her, is threatening, and Dive? I don't know if he's acting like that naturally or if he's on something. Echo's only appearance in this issue is to discuss the plan with Espio, and unless the next issue indicates, I'm assuming that's her coming out of the water. Finally, we have Deena. I mentioned last time that she might be naive to the world. People in the comments said that she's not as naive as she seems. I'm starting to believe that, especially after she bails the Chaotix out of the Blade situation with tournament talk. Close-ups of her face with this look also help, not to mention her constant warning about finding the weapon. Final score for this issue is a 7. The art's good with various facial expressions, and the story is building up to something. Hopefully the payoff will be decent. We'll see next time in the arc's finale. Until then, have a good day and be safe. You may mock Espio on his tournament performance, Razor, but imagine how you feel if people found out you lost betting money to a kid during said tournament.